close, but they believe that those tens of thousands of outstanding ballots are going to make a difference. My Pennsylvania people are telling me that the next batch is expected at 11:55.
So, Simone, to be clear, are they enthusiastic about what those votes are going to say? Or are they enthusiastic about their chances overall?
Yes, they are enthusiastic about what those votes are going to say. And they are, as Michelle Norris noted, nauseously optimistic. People are nauseously optimistic. They're clear-eyed. And people within the campaign and then strategists surrounding the campaign have all said to me within the last hour, we have been clear that it was going to be close. Now, folks may not have believed that given the energy and the momentum, but the campaign itself and the folks specifically with very close to the campaign have always been clear that this was going to be a close race. They believe Pennsylvania is still in play. And I do also think that it's my understanding of, they have a sense of that the reality is that Georgia is not an option for a win this go round. And North Carolina is not looking like it as well, but folks need to wait and see. Wake County, rest of Mecklenburg County in North Carolina will make a difference. Wisconsin, I will note, folks in Wisconsin say they think it'll be a classic Wisconsin photo finish, but they feel good about where they are. They specifically noted about Dane County because they've seen numbers that say she, the vice president, is not performing as well in Dane County. They've seen reporting about that as Biden, and they note that the wards that haven't reported in Dane County are very blue areas around Madison. And so the folks in Wisconsin are also feeling good. And they tell me that 3 campuses, students are still voting right now as we speak.
All right. Simone Sanders Townsend, thank you. I want to go to our friend Michael Steele, who I understand has been talking to sources about the results in Michigan. What are you hearing, Michael?
Yeah, it's very interesting right now that a number of the folks that I've been talking to there in Michigan, Republicans are looking a little bit, how should we say, skeptical of holding Michigan for Trump right now, looking at some of the numbers that have been coming in. I know as we still have big centers like Detroit that are going to land, but the reality on the ground there, they have a lot of hope in that they look like they will flip the House to the Republicans, but may give some ground to Trump. They're still looking through some of the numbers, but it's a little bit up in the air for the Trump hold on Michigan. So the narrative around the blue wall still holds a bit. I mean, Pennsylvania and Michigan are really kind of those 2 bookends, with Wisconsin sitting right there for Kamala Harris right at the moment.
All right, Michael Steele, thank you very much. We do have a little bit of intel ourselves from the campaign. NBC News has obtained an email to campaign staff that was sent out by the campaign manager for Kamala Harris, Jen O'Malley Dillon. I'm just going to tell you what we got. Quote, while we continue to see data trickle in from the Sunbelt states, we have known all along that our clearest path to 270 electoral votes lies through the blue wall states. And we feel good about what we're seeing. Again, this is an email from the Harris campaign. O'Malley Dillon says they're also waiting for a significant amount of vote from Wisconsin's Dane County and Milwaukee County, adding they do not expect Wisconsin's complete results until between 3 and 5 a.m. We've been saying for weeks, says O'Malley Dillon, quote, that this race might not be called tonight. Those of you who were around in 2020 know this well. It takes time for all the votes to be counted. All the votes will be counted. That is how our system works. What we do know is this race is not going to come into focus until the early morning hours. Jen Psaki, let me get your reaction to that.
Well, just reading this, I was thinking of what's happening in the boiler room. That's a very high-pressure thing. You call it on a campaign, but Nicole and I have probably spent a collective hundreds of hours hours in boiler rooms. It's basically where you have the top campaign strategists and teams looking at, like our team looks at the decision desk, right? They have a team of people that do the decision desk. What's different in a campaign is that you're also looking at vote goals in these counties and what you're trying to achieve, right? So in these county, in Philly, they're trying to run up the vote numbers by a great deal, higher than Biden did. And they're looking at, what the percentages were then. And Biden did about 2 percentage points is better than Clinton in a lot of the key parts of Pennsylvania. So they're looking at that. But they're also looking at the rural counties and where they're doing there and how they can do. So as the information comes in the boiler room, they're recalculating where they need to do better in certain states, in addition to looking at the path. So to me, it's interesting. Obviously, there hasn't been a call from here in some of the states that she doesn't mention in this email, but it is quite telling that she really focuses on the blue wall states here, which, again, as Nicole said earlier, has long been probably a baseline of the path and is a core to the path, and they see it that way. The last thing I'll just say, the thing that becomes hard on campaigns is as the path narrows, right? Yeah. Because part of the objective of this email is to say to the people on the team, hang in there, guys. Like, it's not over. We're still getting votes in. We still need to keep talking to people, keep people in lines, tell your grandma it's going to be okay. That's part of the objective of an email like that, too.
Yeah. We do have a couple of calls to make. While we have been discussing this, we've got a couple of projections from NBC News. In the presidential race in Connecticut, NBC News can project that the winner of that presidential race will be Vice President Kamala Harris. NBC News can also project that we have a winner in the presidential contest in Washington state. The winner there, also Kamala Harris. NBC News can also make a projection in the Senate race in Washington state. In that Senate race, we've got an incumbent Democratic Senator, Maria Cantwell. She will be returning to the United States Senate from Washington state. Steve, over to you.
Yeah, let's take a look at a few more things we're getting in. First of all, I want to point this out. This is what the national popular vote is right now. Now, customarily, we've seen this the last two elections, 20 and 16, that Trump has led in the tally of the national popular vote, well into the night. And typically what you see certainly is California comes in late, and it takes a while to get all the vote counted there. And that's just a millions of vote margin for Democrats. So certainly this is going to change, and we're just starting to get California in. But outside of the core battleground, there are a couple things that I want to flag. A couple states that it's awfully late in the night and we don't have calls on yet that I think a lot of folks might have expected we would. Let me start in Virginia, where 80% of the vote is now in. And Kamala Harris, you see, is ahead here by about 2.5 points in the count. But again, in 2020, this was a 10-point state for Joe Biden over Donald Trump. What's changed tonight? Where has Trump made progress in Virginia? Take a look here. Loudoun County. This is one, if you remember that governor's race in Virginia in 2021 when Glenn Youngkin won, we talked an awful lot about Loudoun County, suburbs, exurbs of Washington, D.C., just lightning fast growth here. Biden won this thing by 25 points, densely populated in a very diverse county. Again, significant Hispanic population. Biden won this by 27, down to 18 points tonight, just about all in there in Prince William County. Virginia Beach, we still have a lot of vote to come in Virginia Beach, and this is one, this is where Joe Biden won by 5. This is one when Glenn Youngkin became governor, he flipped and won. And Trump right now leading this by 6 points. Again, that would be an 11-point shift here. There's a lot of areas here, that Trump would still need to do even better in if he were actually going to overtake Harris here. But the fact that it's this late at night and Trump has made gains that have held this so much so far, it's significant. It's part of why that popular vote is maybe a bigger lead this hour than you thought Trump would have. Bigger reason, though, is this. This is why I raised it. New York, look, it's been called. Harris is going to win New York. Her margin is 12 points. Check this out. In 2020, it was 23 points for Joe Biden. With nearly 90% of the vote in, Harris is only winning this by 12 points. Now, first of all, from a national popular vote perspective, Biden won this state by 2 million votes in 2020. The margin isn't yet 1 million, and we're getting close to all the vote in New York. And I want to zoom in a little bit closer here because I think this is significant. Let's look at New York City itself. The 5 boroughs of New York City, they're each their own individual county. And let me just show you what's happening here. Overwhelming Democratic city. Manhattan, the most liberal county in New York, a portion of New York, 86-12, a 74-point Biden win, down to 63. Trump's made double-digit gains in Manhattan. Take a look at Queens, 45-point Joe Biden win in 2020. Down to 24, a 20-point net gain so far for Donald Trump in Queens, New York. Take a look over at Brooklyn. 55 has come down to 43. Staten Island's very small population-wise. It is the Republican. Jersey has 85% of the vote tallied. We have not yet called it. Now, Kamala Harris is ahead here by nearly 200,000 votes. But again, contrast this to New Jersey in 2020. This was a 16-point state. Tonight, it is a 5-point race with 85% of the vote tallied. The margin here in 2020 was about 800,000 votes for Joe Biden. Tonight, it hasn't yet cracked 200,000. Again, that has potential national popular vote implications for those who are tracking that. But I wanted to point out New Jersey, again, we see Harris is in pretty good shape to win the state, but take a look at Hudson County. Hudson County, just across there, this is where Union City, New Jersey is, for instance. It's 80% Hispanic. A lot of small, densely populated cities in Hudson County with large Hispanic populations. Joe Biden won here by 46 points. Tonight, it's 28 points. This is basically it in Hudson County, from 46 to 28. This is one of those giant core Democratic counties, New Jersey, the Democratic Party relies on. That's a massive, massive shift. And again, that speaks to Trump's gains, it really would seem, with Hispanic voters. So again, those are some of the states here that have bearing on the national popular vote. We saw the polls nationally much tighter than before. We wondered if Trump was going to narrow the margin in some of those big states. That is what we're seeing. I did want to follow up on Wisconsin, too, now getting close to 70% of the vote in. And yes, we were just talking about Dane and the question of what was left and could the Democrats here hit that margin that they got out of 2020. And it's true. OK, well, here we go. Now we're up to 95%. So we just, since I checked in a few minutes ago, we got more. We're getting close to all of the vote in Dane County, 163,000. That's the Harris margin in Dane County, 163,000. In 2020, that was about 182,000. 182, 163. We'll see if there's any more votes to come. But when that hits 95%, there usually aren't. So again, if anything like that holds, boy, Democrats want to be at that number. This is where they've improved their performance every time for 4 years. Where Democrats have improved tonight, where Harris has improved, or it looks like she will, not much to come in Waukesha. Big county, 400,000 people live here. One of those wow counties right outside Milwaukee. And here again, that Trump got, basically vote. And we talked at the start of the night about, we say the wow counties and the bow counties here, Brown County, Outagamie County, Winnebago County, mid-sized cities along sort of the Fox River, Lake Winnebago. These are all counties that Donald Trump won in 2020, but with reduced margins. Is he returning to 2016 levels, or is he back at 2020 levels? So Outagamie County here, again, this is where the city of Appleton is. In 2016, when Trump won Wisconsin, he won this county by about 13 points. In 2020, when he lost Wisconsin, it was a 10-point margin. And tonight, as you can see, 67%. It's back at that 13-point spread right now. Now, again, votes still to come in Outagamie County. But I only flag this because we are seeing it in an awful lot of places tonight where Trump is returning to 2016 levels. These aren't always dramatic shifts, but Wisconsin's a state. When Trump won it, it was by 20,000 votes. When Biden won it, it was by 20,000 votes. So these kinds of differences can make all the difference. See what happens with the remaining vote there. But that's something we've been seeing in other places in this northern tier of the battleground all through the night. Again, now up near 70%. It's very close here, about 67,000 votes. More to come out of those wow counties. And we'll see if there's anything left there in Dane. But if that number doesn't move, that's a little bit below, I think, where Democrats wanted to be there.
All right, Steve, thank you. We've got a call to make in a Senate race. NBC News can project that in the Senate race in the great state of Minnesota, we have that projection? There we go. The Senate race in the great state of Minnesota, Democratic incumbent Senator Amy Klobuchar will be heading back to the United States Senate. Amy Klobuchar reelected in Minnesota. We're going to take a quick break right now. There's a bunch of other Senate races right now where we haven't checked in for a little while. Important Senate races in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, Nevada, Montana, Nebraska. Lots of interesting Senate races still to come. We're going to check in on those on the other side of this break. Stay with us.